April 6th, 2022, Wednesday. I'm Matthew and we are the Scoops. So I did not upload yesterday. Basically just got too busy, ran out of time, just wasn't able to get home to get anything recorded after work. So today I'm doing what I do with most of my time when I get home, is water everything. So I've been talking about it getting hot, and this week's going to get hot. So pretty much all the rest of this week, for the most part, is supposed to be in the high 90s. We're talking like 98 or so. And they're actually calling for potential triple digits by Sunday. So like I said before, historically, April, May, and June are the driest months. And this is also when it starts heating up. By June, we'll be probably into the 115s, 117s. If we're lucky, we'll get some rain here and there that'll kind of help curb some of that heat, but it's not likely. So with that being said, I will begin working on getting up some shading this weekend. I don't have much of a choice at this point. I've got to get some shading up. So I think I'm going to go with one of our later ideas, which is to hit up the Goodwill, get some just standard sheets, probably some lightweight sheets, and we'll use those as a shade cloth. One of the ideas I have is to basically put some small holes through it, which will allow for more airflow and will let some more of the sun in. I mean, we don't want a complete blockage of the sun. So that's the idea. I don't know how well it's going to work, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll provide a little bit of a reprieve. Most of the plants that I have out here do like full sun. So that's one of the reasons why, of course, I really want to be careful on not blocking too much of it. But at the same time, I need to be able to provide some protection from the heat that's coming up. So I might as well start experimenting now before it gets too late. The other thing, of course, is going to be keeping up on the mulching, because it gets windy out here, and it can blow the mulch out. It's just straw hay, so I got to keep up on that. Make sure these are well mulched, so it can help lock in that moisture and keep these suckers watered like they like. Now, so far, aside from, of course, again, the Brussels sprouts, given how they look right now, and I'll show them to you right now, actually. Put this down. I'm pretty confident that those poor things ain't gonna make it too much longer with this heat. And we've been watering pretty well. They would probably do a little bit better with shading. I could try moving them. Maybe I'll try that, move it closer to the tree over there, because that area stays shaded for most of the day. So I might actually move some stuff there and see how well they do. I mean, at this point it wouldn't hurt anything. It'd just be moving those to another location. If they do better, great. If not, I was kind of expecting it. And then I'll just pull them and get those bags ready for whatever transplants I have next here. I am getting a few more of my starts coming up finally, mostly on the pepper side. I've only got a couple of the watermelons that have sprouted. Still only got the one cantaloupe, so I'm not sure what's going on with that and why I didn't get very good germination there. Could be just that batch of seeds, maybe. Maybe I did something wrong with the seed mixture, the soil mixture. So I'm going to keep an eye on them, just in case they're just late bloomers. Maybe. They got definitely enough moisture, so they're not all dried out or nothing. I even kind of dried them off just a little bit, just in case it was too wet. But the soil's still moist, or moist enough, I should say. It's not like soaking wet, but you know. So we'll see. Most likely, whatever starts I do get out of my trays, and then what I've got out here already, will probably be all that I really have going on out here, plant-wise, until probably around September, somewhere around September, end of August, September. And that's when I'll start gearing up for whatever it is I plan on growing this fall. And I have quite a few ideas for that. As a matter of fact, this fall, with any luck, I'm thinking I might be able to double what I've got out here as far as the amount of plants. Now, it'll be different stuff that I'll have growing out here. But as far as just numbers, I plan on doing a whole lot more stuff out here. So we'll see how that goes. It all boils down to my ability to keep up with it, really. So we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep caring for these. Got some flowers I'm going to actually prune off. One of my pepper plants that I've actually got over here, my red hot chili pepper. Actually, it keeps blossoming, and I just keep pulling them to try to help with the growth. I'm not pruning any of the branches off of it. Just the flowers. And the other two pepper plants I got over here, I'm going to do the same with. Now that bell pepper plant is looking a little puny again. I'll show you right now. Now again, I'm pretty sure that is, again, heat, and the mixture that I've got as far as the soil in that one right now doesn't retain a lot of moisture. It drains out pretty quickly. I'm starting to get a little concerned that the soil itself may not actually be absorbing any of the water. Like it may be, so I guess hydrophobic would be the term. Essentially, it begins repelling water, I guess you could say. It doesn't absorb it, it doesn't hold on to it, it just drains it out. And I'm hoping that's not what has happened to that. If so, I can try mixing some new stuff into it and see if I can't get that water retention to come back to the soil, which is what I'll try to do before I discard that soil. If there's any chance of being able to bring it back, I'd rather go that route. So again, shade, I'll be working on that this weekend. And sometime, maybe even by this Friday, I will cut open that tomato I showed you and get those seeds out of there. I want to get that going before the tomato goes bad, and that way I can use the tomato as well. So that's something I'll be working on. I don't know if I'll get a chance to do any kind of canning. I still want to give not only pickling a try, but maybe do some kind of fruit preserves, or like a jam or jelly, something like that. We'll see what happens with that. If I have enough time, I'll get that going. Another thing that I've come across quite recently seems to be somewhat of a, I guess you'd call it a trend. And if that's the case, that's fine. Some people think homesteading in general is a trend, and I'm okay with that. I can't think of a better trend that people might want to try getting into. That being said, the trend is sourdough. And not just making sourdough bread, but actually creating your own starter. I think that's something I want to give a try to as well. I don't know, again, if that's something I'm going to be able to get done by this weekend. It's maybe something I'll start at the beginning of next week. And as the week progresses, and of course you have to, feed the starter and let it go through its fermentation and whatnot. And so as it does that, maybe we can keep track of that, and we'll see how that comes along. That's one thing I want to give a try, is making sourdough starter. In general, and I've been meaning to do this for quite some time, I've been wanting to get more active with my bread making. Now, I've made quite a few loaves, but it's something I think I can do even more of. And see if we can't eventually just, have our own homemade bread as general use. I'm pretty sure there's going to be times where maybe I couldn't get any baked. Time is something I don't have abundance of. So, if need be, I can always pick up a loaf. I'm not going to be above that. But if I can begin baking my own bread on a regular basis and using that bread, I think that'd be the better idea. Now, one thing would be making proper amounts, or proper loaves, I guess you could say. Fresh homemade bread does not last as long as store-bought bread. It will succumb to mold and such a lot faster, even if it's wrapped up in like cellophane or whatnot. So you don't want to make too much if you're not going to use it. So that kind of brings it down to making like a loaf at a time. The downside to that is frequent bread making. Now, frequent bread baking isn't necessarily a horrible thing if you've got the time. Something I don't. So we'll see how this goes. It's something I'm going to work towards. This is kind of also part of another thing we're going to be working towards, and I've mentioned this in the past too, and that's slowly moving the family into seasonal eating. The benefit of getting into that habit will, I'd say the biggest benefit, of course, is once we're to the point of growing and raising the majority of our own food, there's certain things that are not going to be readily available to eat fresh certain times of the year. Of course, that's why you have canning and preservation and things. So that's obviously one benefit. I've also been reading a few things talking about the health benefits of seasonal eating, and apparently there's quite a few. Now, I don't know how accurate all of that is. I'm no doctor by any means. I wouldn't even necessarily consider myself qualified enough to prescribe Tylenol to somebody. But it's still interesting when you start getting into some of the ideas behind seasonal eating. The other aspect of seasonal eating is, of course, getting into the actual preservation side as well, as far as buying certain fruits and vegetables when they're in season, reduces the cost, because when something's in season, it generally costs less. And because of that, you can buy more of it, and then you just preserve it, whether you're canning it, whether you're freeze drying or dehydrating. You can save money throughout the year by doing it that way. Now, I don't plan on having a freeze dryer anytime soon. It's something I would like to get a hold of at some point. Freeze dryers, of course, not the cheapest items in the world. So that's something that we're going to have to save up for and invest in at some point. Dehydrators, on the other hand, well, you can generally pick those up quite affordably. They're not, still not super cheap. It's not like I'm just going to jump out and go get one. You can still be looking at a few $100 easily, but definitely cheaper than a freeze dryer. And so I think that's the route we're going to go first as far as that type of preservation. It's going to be dehydration, and then of course obviously along with the canning, and just in general just freezing. And we do have a chest freezer that we use. Comes in quite handy. I may try looking for another one. It was one I picked up on Facebook. Picked it up off of Facebook Marketplace. It was a really good deal. It's from a family that was moving, and of course couldn't take it with them. So if I can find another one, that would be great. That just gives us more freezer space to store food and assist with our preservation storage as well. So that's another idea there. And that's kind of it for the day, to be honest, aside from, of course, all my water in here. I do have a few other projects that may be coming down the pipeline. We'll see how they work out. I don't really want to get too much into it because I don't know how it's going to work out just yet. But if it's something that ends up coming into play, obviously I will share it with all y'all. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, put the camera down, continue my watering, and yeah, if you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow, and that helps us immensely. For those who are subscribed, thank you very much. Go ahead and ring that notification bell while you're at it. That way, if I do happen to take a day off again, you'll know when I upload the next video. And otherwise, we'll see you on the next one.